Today on Alvarez TV, we are surrounded by wonderful OMs of all sorts of wood configurations. This may be our most favorite. It's the FYM 74 CE Redwood and Rosewood. Please join us when we dig into these wonderful guitars. Wow, hanging on by the seat of your pants.
There were some interesting takeaways from that.
What?
First of all, I'm not sure why I counted in 5, 6, 7, 8. It must be my
It's your dancing
my dance
history.
training.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's, but that was, what was that? I felt like I was being, I don't know.
No idea.
There's a bit of Johnny Marr going on. There was a little bit of Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend. It was very 70s.
It was very 70s, which is interesting because you have a very 70s sounding instrument.
Do you know what? Hi everybody, by the way.
Hi everybody.
When I first heard this, I first heard the Dreadnought, and I thought, sounds vintage. It sounds, that DYM 74 at the NAMM show. I just thought it sounds like an old guitar. Should we tell everybody what we're going to do today?
I think we should tell everyone what we're going to do today.
Because we're not sure. But we're surrounded by all these OMs and done a few shows on the new Yairi stuff since it came back.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're sitting here thinking, we've got so many OMs, some cutaways, we've got Honduran, Redwood and Rosewood, Sitka Rosewood, Adirondack and Rosewood, and they're just all so different, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean they've arrived, and we noticeably kind of blown
Just
away
like-
by them.
Just so
I
different.
mean they were great before, but they just seem to have, you know.
Well, they're deeper, they've got lighter bracing,
Yeah.
and they're a bit more resonant. But we've never used Redwood before. I've never used Redwood on anything, and it was another find.
Yeah, striking as well.
Striking.
Beautiful pairing. I mean, the
Beautiful,
Redwood
look
and
at that.
The Rosewood.
With the ivory binding.
Yeah.
So again, I know I've said this before at the Yairi and say, what's that?
Is that what happened? You just walked in and went, where were you keeping this? We need to make some guitars out of it.
So there's one room where there's bits of everything and it's all cut
Right.
in the tops, and then there's lumber and all that sort of stuff. In what I call the high-end room, I found some redwood and it was just shimmering, and it's like the grain on this stuff is so straight, and it's like, where did this come from? And again, Mr. Yairi bought it a long time ago. Some bits have been used over the years, and some hasn't. And it was there. I said, well, let's put it to some use. We haven't got a lot of it, so this will be fairly limited.
Grain is incredibly
Just,
straight,
isn't it?
Isn't it?
So redwood is Sequoia,
Right.
which I love the word.
West
Sequoia.
Coast, American West Coast.
American West Coast. So basically there's two Sequoias, not to get mixed up because they're actually different species, kind of. Well, they're different versions, and they're very close to each other. So you've got coastal redwood, which is Sequoia sempervirens, right, which is a lovely word, Sequoia sempervirens. And that grows southern Oregon to central California on the west. And they grow very, very tall and fairly fat in diameter.
These are not the giant redwoods.
They're not. So coastal they grow to about 12 feet in diameter. But they're constantly still big, huge. But they can grow to like 300 feet, maybe more. And they're very, very old. Some of them, can grow 1,000, 1,500 years or whatever. Then you have the greats, the royalty of all trees. You have the giant redwoods, and that is called Sequoia Dendron giganteum.
Thank you.
And to be honest, if you're the biggest living organism on planet Earth, you should be called Sequoia Dendron giganteum.
Sounds so much better in Latin too. Giganteum.
It's like some intergalactic king, isn't it? Like Sequoia Dendron giganteum. It just rules the world when it comes to all trees. They are massive. They are the oldest living and I think largest living organisms on planet Earth, which is amazing. I don't think they grow quite as tall. They still go super tall as the coastals, but they're massively wide. And in the Sequoia National Park, which I'm sure everybody's seen a picture of, that massive, these huge trees.
Yeah.
There's one of them called General Sherman.
That's right.
General Sherman.
Yeah.
Who was a general in the War of Independence, I think, in the States. And I think a naturalist who served under him called that tree later on after his general.
Right.
That's where I believe the story came from. These babies are, 26 feet in diameter, which is just massive. General Sherman is 36 feet in diameter. That's 11 meters per hour, 12 meters per hour.
That's actually wider than this entire room.
It's wider than this room. It's just unbelievable how these things have got so big. Their bark can be up to 2 feet thick.
Wow.
So they've grown this immense, they've evolved with this immense thick bark to protect them.
Yeah.
Because that's the protecting kind of layer. So these amazing trees only found there. Some have been planted around the world. In the UK, there's actually a few thousand. They were brought over and they were planted in different areas. So wonderful, wonderful, amazing creatures, really. As Thornwood, it's fairly rare.
How does it measure on the Yanker?
On the Yanker hardness scale?
Yeah.
So that's a good question, because it's really hard.
Right.
It's for a softwood. So it's about the same as Adirondack, which is 450 pounds per is it square inch or whatever, or square foot is it? Which is the same as Adirondack. So this is much harder than cedar. So if you talk about redwoods, right? We'll talk about Western red cedar, which again is from a similar part of the world, but this is far, far harder. People say it's a little bit harder. It's not. It's actually a lot. It's probably 25% harder, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Cedar's 350. So tonally, it's crisper. Mm-hmm. It has I'd say a sort of a slightly narrower frequency response, but it's super loud and responsive. So this doesn't tail off like cedar does. It just keeps going. It's like a redwood Sitka or a Adirondack. It's got loads of headroom.
Right.
And when I first started playing it today, I haven't spent a lot of time with these Redwood guitars. I thought, that's okay. But I actually started feeling it settle in even from today. So what I think is going to happen with these Redwood guitars is over the next, when you buy one, they will really start to open up.
Yeah. Over
months and years. And then you'll have everything. You'll have that complexity and the richness that you associate with cedar.
Mm-hmm. So was that a conscious, you wouldn't have paired that with Honduran, for example, or would you have? Did you consider that?
I didn't.
You just sort of naturally thought it needs to go with a rosewood?
I did. You can. Obviously, people use, especially in the classical guitar world, cedar and mahogany. Maybe we should try that. But I just think this guitar is really, it's kind of focused, but really complex. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, that's an OM with a cutaway, and it's got a huge voice.
Yeah.
You know, it's got. So you've got all the overtones there, but it's like crisper. It's got a bit more edge to it than you would expect from like a cedar or something like that.
Mm.
So I think in an OM size, it's super articulate. And I think in a dreadnought, in fact, we got a text from somebody who just bought a DYM 74, right?
Yes, we did.
And they said probably not as much headroom as a Sitka rosewood dreadnought, but very responsive and
he was really
light to
blown
the
away
touch.
by it. Yeah.
So really, it's got some things of cedar, but it's got. I've got to get a better word than headroom. Volume-wise, you can just keep pushing it. It's not going to break up. It's not going to tail off.
You can dig into it.
You can play it as hard as you like, but it's still got that kind of richness and complexity. Slightly, at the moment, slightly narrower frequency response, I would say. But I think this is going to open up, and it's going to, in a year's time, it's going to be like Giorgio says, these guitars are the worst they'll ever sound, right?
Yeah.
And because they're brand new. But I love it. I'm falling in love with this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. Can't wait till the Dreadnought and Grand Auditorium are here. And
we can do some comparisons on those as well. We're going to do some comparisons on these two against each other.
Yeah. So that's an FYM 70 CE. I think we can probably throw some more OMs in, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Why not?
I mean, just remember that some have cutaways and some don't. But for example, we've got an FYM 70 CE and one without a cutaway. And the cutaway version sounds as open and full, if not a little bit more.
But this kind of happens, doesn't it, with these guitars, because they're not a production guitar. And
correct.
They do have their own. I mean, you know, within a ballpark, but they because of the, you know, the pairings and the configurations and stuff. But you do find.
Well, the FYM 70s, the tops are really, really close. They're very, very similar. The backs and sides are, but they sound quite different. I think we'll focus the A&B on the Redwood versus Sitka. Yeah. Because they've both got rosewood backs and sides, they've both got a cutaway, and obviously all of these have the FST6 bracing. And then maybe we'll bring in some of the more OMs so people can hear that in context, as well as the wood change.
Okay,
and we'll take it from there. But Redwood is, I think it's my new favourite.
Right.
After Adirondack.
That's a big statement.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All the best.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. If you want to watch more videos like this one, click the video on the screen now.